What's good, everybody? It's your boy Fred Marvin, and we are back with another version of Marvelous World. And today, we are about to talk about the college football playoffs.
Y'all watch the Olympics? I know y'all watch the Olympics, but did you watch it the way that we're about to break it down? The first thing that I noticed is just power. Like, power, but he's got turnover too. If you see it,
he's in the zone, he's reading his quarterback's eyes, he can play the run and play the pass at the same time.
I think that he's a guy that can go 9-7, possibly low 9-7s as well. This time that you see here, 45-19, it'll be 44-19 by the end of the season if he really can do that,
right? And we see right off the bat, you got Georgia, Boise State, Oregon, and Arizona State. Seeing Arizona State in here, it really hurts me. It really does, because that's supposed to be Colorado right there, okay? It's supposed to be Colorado right there, okay? Don't get me started, oh my gosh. Literally, if Deion and them would have just done their business, beat Kansas, and then beat Oklahoma State, Deion would have been in the playoffs. It would have been amazing. I'm just telling y'all, it would have been amazing. Arizona State, amazing program this year. 11-2 is extremely impressive, considering that the Big 12 is actually really competitive this year. With Deion, with Colorado, and with literally BYU. I mean, even Utah, to the point where they had a terrible season and still were competitive. Kansas being competitive towards the end of the season. You had Texas Tech, Iowa State. I mean, the Big 12 was popping this year. I ain't gonna lie. The Big 12 was popping this year. So then you got the old Pac-12, but the new Big 10 in Oregon. Them being in there, 13-0. My boy Dallas Warmack coaching over there. Proud of you, boy. Oregon really has stood on business all year long. Beat Ohio State, beat everybody who they played in the Big 10, beat Boise State, a great Boise State team. That Boise State is, we got to talk about them. But staying on Oregon, I mean, they're fast, they're strong, offensive line, defensive line, smooth. They got playmakers everywhere, a quarterback who's a game changer. I mean, I really don't know who can really beat Oregon in this field, to be honest with you. But once we fill out the bracket, we'll talk about what I think is going to happen. Y'all tell me what y'all think is going to happen, and then we'll see. Okay, we'll see. All right, so now we got Boise State. Looking at Ashton Jonte and the way he's been playing, and knowing that Boise State really got a squad. It's not just Ashton that's good. Like, they got quarterback, receiver, they got DBs. They got a pretty solid offensive defensive line. The way that they measured up against Oregon, the fact that they lost by a few points, the fact that Ashton Jonte had like 2 touchdowns in that game and ran all over them, like, I think Boise State could really go far. Now, when they have to go up against Georgia, that's going to be a different story. If they win they second round matchup, whoever they're going to get, we're going to talk about it. But I really think that Boise State could be a sleeper. They could be a sleeper. I'm not really sure Arizona State. I know they got that good running back over there. He runs people over. He's pretty fast. But I don't really know what they have in total. I haven't watched as many Arizona State games, I got to be honest. So we're going to have to see. All right, we're going to have to see. Now, Georgia, we know Georgia. My wife is a Georgia fan. If anybody knows my wife, y'all know she had the freaking Georgia blanket on her wall. Though she went to UK and was running track at UK, she had the Georgia blanket on her wall. She's a but she's a live forever Georgia fan. So I really think that in past years, I would say that Georgia runs the table, and no matter who is on this bracket, that Georgia would win. But this year it's a lot different. Georgia's defense is not the same. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay, they're not the same. Getting 40 points put up on you by Georgia Tech. If you from Georgia, like I'm from Georgia, we all know Georgia Tech should never put up 40 points on UGA. Never. And that happened this year, 2024. So it is not the same Georgia team. Quarterback throwing interceptions all over the place. The running backs ain't really running over people like we normally used to from Georgia. All right, now I know they got some good running backs, that freshman and my boy who transferred over from Florida. But look, it's not the same Georgia team. And the wide receivers got to catch the ball. Because the only reason why the quarterback's throwing so many interceptions is because when he throws the pinpoint passes down the field, we ain't catching the ball. So you're putting him in I'm not making excuses for the quarterback, but you're putting him in situations where he's got to force the ball to make something happen. because we're not catching the ball when he does make something. So please, somebody help that man out. Okay, help him out and catch the ball, please. Okay, I know Dwight Phillips Jr., Dwight's senior, his son is going to Georgia. We can give him the ball next year. Somebody need to give him the ball next year. Put some of his highlights on this thing. He will make Georgia good next year. We look forward to that. All right, so we're gonna fast forward here. We're gonna have them fill out the rest of this bracket and really just see how this shapes up. I want to know what y'all think and who y'all think is gonna go the first. Tell me, please, because I got my pick. I kind of know who I'm trusting in this whole college football thing. Now, Texas, I really think that a depleted and even as not normal as Georgia is this year, Texas couldn't beat them. So it makes you think, is Texas really as good as we think that they are? Georgia beats them twice in a row, and they still make the playoffs. All right, who else did Texas really beat this year? They beat my Kentucky Wildcats. They beat Vanderbilt. But I mean, did they play Tennessee? I don't even know. I gotta go and look at their schedule. But I'm not really comfortable with if Texas is gonna make it to the semifinal and they gotta play a under-scouted, unknown Arizona State team, which may be difficult. Right? Now, the only blessing that Texas has is that they have a home game in the first round, and the quarterfinals and beyond is going to be neutral site. So they don't got to worry about crowd noise or nothing like that. I just personally think that Texas, they could get to the semifinal, but if they have to go up against Oregon or Ohio State, they will come into some issues. I believe they will come into some issues. Ohio State, they owe Oregon. They owe them, so they're probably going to get them. I know hopefully my boy Dallas can get them boys right, but I think that Ohio State going to feel like they owe Oregon. It's going to be a neutral site. Oregon had them at home earlier, so it could be different, right? So I really think that Penn State's matchups, they look good for Penn State, to be honest with you. It's Penn State, SMU, and then Penn State when they beat SMU, which I believe they'll beat SMU. You got to go up against Boise State at a neutral site. You know, the one thing about Penn State is that the speed aspect of things is not always there. They always get beat by teams that are faster than them. The SEC team, they get beat. We beat them. Oh shoot, we beat them back in the day when I was in college. We just had more speed and more talent on the outside. Boise State, they have Ashton Johnson, and they have some talent on the outside. So Boise State and Penn State, they kind of match up well, but I'm taking Boise State out of it. And seeing that teams with a good quarterback and a good scheme on offense can really put points up on Georgia, even looking at how Massachusetts put up like 30 points or 20, whatever, 8 points or whatever on Georgia, at home in Georgia's backyard, Georgia's just not the same. I can't trust them this year. Now, Boise State versus Indiana, if it gets to that point where I've gotten it right to that point, I'm taking Boise State. Okay, I'm really taking Boise State all the way to the chip. Okay, I'm taking them to the chip because I feel like Ashton Johnson can't be stopped, and so long as their quarterback don't turn the ball over and their defense do what their defense did against Oregon, Boise State got a chance. I'm taking Boise State over Indiana or Georgia. No matter whoever make it to that semifinal, that's one. All right, now Ohio State and Oregon. I think that between the two, I think Ohio State owes Oregon, but Oregon, I feel like their capabilities, I really want to see them go 15-0, 16-0, whatever. They have to do the winning championship. And so I feel like even though Ohio State owes Oregon, Ohio State, I can't trust the quarterback as much as I can trust Oregon's quarterback. Oregon's quarterback is a game changer. Ohio State's quarterback is a great player. And I've never been a quarterback in my life. Okay, but you can see it in the eyes of these people when they play the game. You can see it. You can see whether or not they're going to rise to the occasion or if the moment is too big at the moment that they're in it. Now, the quarterback for Ohio State has done very well. Even when he played against Oregon, had a great game. But I just feel like the talent that Oregon has, the momentum that they have, they're gonna outlast Ohio State. It's gonna be another close game. But that quarterback from Oregon is gonna be the difference. Now, Oregon versus who from the top bracket? I want to take Arizona State, but to be honest with you, Texas has played so well, and especially against teams that are from other conferences aside from the SEC, even the SEC for that matter. So I'm gonna take Texas. I mean, I'm not gonna be too stubborn, but I think it's gonna be a close game. Now, Texas versus Oregon. I think Oregon takes it. I think that Oregon, again, there's too much talent. I can rely on that quarterback to make a play when he needs to, and he will be the difference. I think that Arch Manning, when Arch Manning gets in there for Texas, the swagger that he has and his abilities to run and throw will create fear in other teams to the point where he'll be able to make more plays. I think that the current Texas quarterback is an NFL quarterback, but it just depends on the team that he's playing. If his team can block for him, he's not Arch Manning. He doesn't have the legs, so I really don't know what that game will look like for Texas. I'm taking Oregon. So what I have now is Oregon and Boise State in the championship. That is what I hope for. It would be a rematch of earlier this year, and I think that it would be a great game. Personally, I think that Boise State's fan base would be on 10. Everybody would be on 10. We'd all be cheering for Boise State, to be honest with you, because I would want Ashton Jonte to win the national championship. I think that he's had a Heisman season. I think that him and Travis should get the Heisman because it just sucks that he had to have this season in the same season that Travis had to have his season, because they both had great seasons. So if he won a national championship, I think that'd be a great consolation to not winning the Heisman. But Oregon versus Boise State rematch in the national championship, that would be amazing.